So welcome everybody to the Deschutes Hatchery Steelhead eCreel. Thanks everybody for coming. This is our pregame show, so we're going to check in with some of the local anglers, go over the new event for 2025, as well as some of the stats from the 2024 event. So before we kick things off, I just want to do a quick round of introductions. I'll start with myself. My name is Jack Campos. I am a project manager here at Anglers Atlas. So I'm the behind the scenes manager and now in front of the scenes manager apparently for all of these eCreel events. We're running 6 across Oregon and California, on Crowley Lake, Whiskeytown Lake, Eagle Lake, the Bonneville Pool of the Columbia River, the Deschutes River, and the Salmon River, the Coastal Salmon River. So again, I guess I can pass it off to the person to my left. That'll be Anik.
So my name is Anik Gove. I've been with Anglers Atlas for a couple years now. I wear a couple of different hats. I'm part of the catch team, so I do data validation stuff. So I'm the one that approves catches and stuff when they get submitted through the app. I'm also part of a couple of planning teams. So when we're designing events and stuff. I have a science background, but I grew up around the Great Lakes, so I've been fishing since before I can remember.
All right, and Steve and Jackie, you guys want to go next?
Yeah, my name's Steve Pribyl. I live in the Dalles. I've fished the Deschutes for well over 40 years. And I was also a fish biologist for the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. And I worked on the Deschutes for about 22 years in a couple different capacities. I tell people I know every rock in the lower 100 miles of the Deschutes because I've hit them all with a drift boat once. And the ones that I didn't hit, I slipped on and fell in. And I'll let my lovely wife, Jackie, introduce herself.
I'm Jackie Pribyl. Also been fishing the Deschutes. Actually grew up in a small town of Maupin, which is on the Deschutes. So that's my home base. So you could say I've been on the Deschutes for 71 years now. So yeah, lots of fishing. I didn't really start fishing hard on the Deschutes till Stephen and I met and married, and then we spent numerous hours on the Deschutes. So yeah, and I'm retired, and I was self-employed for most of my career. So.
That's awesome. And Kyle.
I don't have quite the history on the Deschutes as Steve, but I grew up in Central Oregon, and I've probably slipped on at least a small handful of the rocks that Steve has mentioned. Caught my first steelhead on the Deschutes. Grew up in between Oregon and Alaska commercial fishing, and in the past decade or so really found a home on the Deschutes. It's kind of become my favorite place to get away on the weekend, and yeah, just excited to give this competition another go. Last year I got the skunked prize, so this year I'm going to try and actually get on the leaderboard and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, that is one of the best things about these events. Is one of the only fishing tournaments where you can catch nothing and still win.
Hey, yeah, I'm proof.
Yeah, all right. Well, I guess we will dive right into the show then. Thanks, guys, for giving those intros. All right. Again, well, I know I said it before, but welcome everybody to the Deschutes River Hatchery Steelhead eCreel pregame show. As most of you know, this is our second annual event. So this year kicks off August 16th and runs all the way to October 19th. It is completely free to sign up. And if you guys are interested watching this, the sign up link will be in the description. There are over $5,000 in prizes for this event in many different categories. But as we'll discuss, that's not really the main reason behind this event, as this is part of a research project. So before we get too far into it, I'd like to thank our partners for this event. First is Daybreak Fishing out of the Dalles. Matt there has partnered with us for this event and is helping to spread the word to his customers and the local anglers in the area. And I also want to give a big shout out to the Deschutes River Alliance. They're doing a lot of great work for the fishery and have also helped us to spread the word to local anglers. So a lot of you might be asking, what is an eCreel? Well, eCreel is just short for electronic creel. And I'm sure most people know fishing the Deschutes, but I'll just do a brief summary of what a creel survey is. I mean, Steve's probably better off explaining this than I am, but it's a method used by fisheries biologists to collect data from anglers about their effort, catch, and harvest to assess populations and angler impact. In this event, the Deschutes eCreel, anglers are submitting that data themselves just by participating in the event. And by pairing this eCreel with a traditional eCreel done by ODFW on the Deschutes, we can generate a total catch estimate using the mark recapture method. So what that is basically a statistical method that allows you to get a population estimate based upon the proportion of tagged fish you collect. So basically they will go out and tag a small portion of the population. And then when anglers report those catches, the proportion of tagged fish versus non-tagged fish allows them to generate a population estimate. So this is a research project based off the paper by Brian Riggers and Michelle Jones. And basically what it does is use this method paired with an eCreel method to be able to estimate the total catch estimate. So in this mark recapture method, the mark will be the anglers reporting the fish through my catch, entering them in the event. And the recapture will occur when the creel clerks on the Deschutes encounter these anglers, and they'll ask them, one, have you heard about the event? And two, have you reported fish in the event? If they say yes, then that counts as a recapture, and that allows us to, perform those calculations and generate a total catch estimate. All right, so now we'll take a little bit of a look back at last year's event, at some of our winners. So here's Justin Frazier with his third place catch in last year's event. So here is a look at all the winners. So fourth place, we had Anthony Suarez. Third place, like I said, Justin Fraser. Second place, Jesse Scoville. And in first place was Anthony Brown. I believe that first place steelhead was pushing 36 inches. So a really good fish coming in. And just a reminder to everybody, this is a hatchery steelhead event only. Obviously, we don't want you, putting excessive handling on wild fish. So I just wanted to give a quick reminder to everybody. And now we're at the point in the show where I want to open it up to some of our local anglers and participants from last year. On the call, we have Kyle Elder and Jackie and Steve Pribyl. So before we dive too far into the weeds, I'd like to, my first question for you guys, and feel free to, everybody can chime in. So participation was pretty low this year. So we're hoping to really up the participation this year. And part of that is with these pregame shows to, get the buzz going about the event. And with that buzz increasing, I imagine a lot of people are going to be out on the Deschutes for the first time and possibly fishing for steelhead for the first time on the Deschutes. So I'm wondering if you guys could maybe give some tips to some of those new anglers who might not know where to start.
Ooh, Steve, you might have to take that, seeing as how I did get the skunked award. All I throw are lures too, so I'm not a huge help for best way to approach the Deschutes. I'm still learning. I'm open to tips.
Well-
That's a great segment too. Help Kyle. Not
Yeah, there we go.
Deschutes summer steelhead are like summer steelhead everywhere else in Oregon that I've fished for them. You know, they tend to be pretty bitey. Summer steelhead particularly are vulnerable to a fly presented in the surface. And having said that, we don't use fly rods. And Kyle, here's a great way to catch steelhead on the Deschutes. You use a plastic bubble that you can put water in, and use a spinning rod or a level wind on a drift rod. Yeah, actually. And then use about 6 feet a leader. So you've got a fly, 6 feet a leader, a swivel, and then your bubble slides up and down your line. And you put enough water in your bubble that you can cast it. And you cast quartering downstream, and then you get with monofilament only, without the hindrance of a fly line, you get a beautiful controlled cross current presentation. This is the bubble,
Oh, okay.
and it's got a plastic stick through it. You can buy them at Bimart, Coastal, anywhere, and it slides up and down the line. There's a swivel to prevent it from going down to your fly, and then you let that swing across current without imparting any action on it. Once you cast, don't move. So you're covering the water in a slow, controlled cross current presentation. When it gets below you, reel in as fast as you can, take 2 steps downstream, and throw the same distance again, quartering downstream, and let it swing. When one grabs it, don't strike. Let him pull your rod down and just lift. And what they do is I have different theories on this, but they come up, grab your fly, and then turn and go back to where they were holding. And eight times out of 10, you'll hook them in the offside corner of their mouth. And then it's game on. Jackie and I actually fished this morning. We walked up the west bank from the mouth and fished the Moody Flats there at the cable crossing. And I had a grab. He missed it. So I backed up 2 steps and then tried to throw, in the exact same place. He didn't come up again, so I took a step forward, threw again. He came up again and actually boiled on the fly, physically saw him and felt it, but he just didn't get it. And so if you are swinging a fly like that in the surface film and you feel anything, even if you think a weed bumped your line, it was a fish. Back up 10 feet, come down on him again. And at least 50% of the time you can get that fish to come again. This only works for me, in my experience, when the sun is off the water.
Okay.
So first thing in the morning, in the evening when the sun leaves the water, and it's just stupid. You fish the fly morning and evening, and the rest of the day you're throwing a spinner or a tadpole or some big wiggly red thing, and you catch them. But as soon as that sun leaves the water, they become vulnerable to that surface presentation. And it's super fun because you never lose anything. And about half the time the strike's visual, and you have to grit your teeth and just let him pull you down. Because if you lift on him too soon, you don't get him. And I prefer to do that with monofilament line because of the stretch. Now you can do it with no stretch line. It's much more violent because you have no stretch. And you really have to concentrate on letting him fold you over before you lift.
Yeah, that reminds me a lot of throwing frogs for largemouth.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, you gotta let him eat it and turn away from you.
Yeah, you gotta wait to feel the weight before you set the hook.
Yeah, because otherwise your frog comes flying back at you.
Yeah, at Mach 5 directly back at your face. I've had that a few times.
Our normal program is we'll do a 3-day drift boat trip through the lower 40 miles of the river. And I was fortunate enough to be able to learn the river from guide friends. Found a few spots myself, but mostly I was able to benefit from generations of knowledge before me. We do a couple different things. There's some spots I still like to throw a number 5 blue fox spinner, your favorite color, or cast a tadpole or even a wiggle wart. Same way you're presenting the fly, quarter downstream or maybe 2/3 downstream. You want your plug to start diving as soon as it hits the water and just let it swing through. When it gets below, you reel in as fast as you can, take 2 steps, throw down. Is the theory on the Deschutes and for so much of summer steelhead fishing is you're fishing for holding fish. You're not fishing for a fish that's paddling upstream.
Because they'll blow right by, right?
I'm sorry.
Because they'll just blow right by.
Yeah, they're not vulnerable to you.
Yeah.
So you're fishing, concentrating on structure, rocks, ledges, the deeper spots. The really mercenary way to do all this
My favorite.
is a technique called a side plane. And Kyle, you've probably seen them. The Oregon company, Lure Jensen makes them. They're kind of a funny pink color.
Oh yeah, I've been wondering what they are. I walk by a guy who's always got a fish too, right at his feet.
Yeah, and it's a plastic device with a wing on it.
Yeah.
And you can change the wing from one side to the other depending on which bank you're on. And the body of the side planer is about yay long. And it looks like a boat. It's got an upswept lip.
Yeah.
And
Those tricks.
there's a learning curve with them, but basically you strip out about 20 feet of line, 15 to 20 feet. And then you wrap the line around a little tab on the front of the side planer, and that's what holds. And then you throw your plug out in the water and you deploy your side planer. And it's just like fishing from a boat because now your side planer runs out in the current. You let out line. This is best done with a level line. Spinning reels they're a pain. So a level line. It's not like tackle fishing. We use 25-pound main and 20-pound leaders and an 8.5-foot head. And then you start shuffling downstream, step, shuffle. And when one grabs it, your side planer goes, whoop, and it's game on. And then when you strike or lift your rod on that fish, part of the side planer actually flips over and you're no longer attached to the side planer. It runs up and down your line.
Oh, okay.
And it's brutally effective. And it's just like back trolling out of a boat is what it's like.
Yeah, it's like a sideways downrigger.
Yeah, it's a sideways downrigger. Walleye guys use the same thing out of a boat where they're forward trolling to get a spread on their lines.
It sounds a lot like a planer board.
Yeah,
Is what I use on Lake Erie.
It's a modified planer board. Yeah, go rattle around. There might be one in here. They're brutally effective. they don't play nicely in a crowded situation. You got to pretty much be off on your own to do it.
Yeah.
I've got side planer stories I could tell all day. And they're nice because you can fish 3 or 4 people in your party. You know, deploy one side planer, give somebody the rod, they take off, shuffling downstream, set the next guy. You can stagger them across the face of the river, you know, near, middle, and far. Stupid effective. Yeah, here's the pieces of a side planer. This is the body.
Yeah.
And here's the tab that your line wraps around. And your line goes through this wire arm, depending on which side of the river you're on. So when you get a fish and you swing, that deploys, and you're now no longer, your planer slides up down your line. This is the wing that's out in the water, which is attached to this little arm. These things are up to about $20 now. When we first started using them, they were like $8. But the arm and the wing then fit on the body of the planer thus. So right now, this one's set up to fish from the west bank of the Deschutes. It'll pull away from you to the west. So your arm always faces down, not up. And the wire arm always faces it. And there's a learning curve with them, I'm not going to lie. But once you figure out how to use the silly things,
Don't cast them.
yeah, you don't cast.
You want the tension of the current right away.
When I was still working, one year we didn't have enough money to actually hire a harvest sampler at the mouth. So my boss and he'd work Saturday and I'd work Sunday. So I was down at Heritage Landing one day, and a little later than this, it was in September. Fishing was good. And I mean, right on the boat ramp, this guy comes and he sets up a side planer and he kind of tries to cast it. And so I walked down there and said, hey, if you don't mind, I'll give you some pointers on how to do this. So I showed him how to set it up. I set it up, deployed his plug, gave him the rod. He walked across the face of the boat ramp fishing. I didn't even get back to my chair in the shade. He goes, I got one. So, of course, I run down there. Well, he not only had one, it turned out to weigh 20 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Sweet.
And so we're standing on the boat ramp fighting this fish, and this kid is just beside himself. And it swims by us. I can see it. And so I don't want to put any pressure on you, but that's a keeper, and it weighs at least 18 pounds. And he's going, my God, where are we going to land? And I said, well, dude, we're standing on a 3-to-1 slope concrete boat ramp. I'll get my feet wet and wade out and help you land it. And so he balls the thing up. I got behind it, and we got it. He just folded up his gear and went home. He was so happy. He was just beside himself.
And Kyle, the thing about these is you can fish anybody. I mean, so you can take non-fisher people and they can be successful.
That's perfect.
And it's really fun. Our granddaughter caught her first steelhead on the Deschutes. She must have been 6 or 7.
She wasn't very old. The steelhead was almost longer than she was.
And
You have no idea how nice that is, because that's the game plan. I'm trying to get my niece, my nephew, my sisters, my mom, and I've been kind of preparing them for just my very small bag of tricks. So this will be huge.
And you can get hung up and you can lose the things.
doesn't happen.
But it doesn't happen very often. So if you were to go to Shears Bridge and then drive down the access road,
Mm-hmm.
there's tons of places between Pine Tree and Max Canyon where you can fish this stuff.
Okay.
And you want to look for straight line current, 6 or 7 feet deep, maybe not a ton of rocks that stretch at the mouth of Fairy Canyon, which is called Cinnamox. A lot of that is good side planer water. And all your people need to know how to do is kind of wade around about up to their knees. And you got to move because, again, you're fishing for holding fish.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't do any good to just stand there. You got to shuffle downstream. But you can get a wading staff and, you're holding the rod and you can hobble along downstream.
And we wear those SOS suspenders.
Yeah.
They've come in handy a few times where
Yeah.
we've never had to deploy, but there's been a couple of times where I've had my hand on the
tab, ready to
tab,
pull.
ready to pull. When
Yeah.
our son grabbed me and pulled me up. I got my feet under me. But
But I don't, in my advanced age and infirmity, I don't wade. I'm not a kamikaze wader
we
anymore.
used to like.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a perfect name for it. Honestly, I've had a close call on the Deschutes, not having been equipped with what you had just mentioned, and it doesn't take long for your waders to fill up, and before you know it, you're going for a swim and a ride, and you're playing entertainment for everyone on the other side watching.
Yeah, I mean, always wear a belt around your chest waders, and a wading staff can help a lot. The guy's got 3 points of contact instead of 2, and felt sole wading shoes are commonly available everywhere and pretty much a must.
Yeah,
I wore studded soles for years and years and years, but just went back to plain felts. The studs are kind of hard on your grip boat.
yeah.
So do you boat, Kyle, or are you just bank fishing mostly?
Nowadays, bank fishing. I used to be pretty lucky. I had a friend who would bring a jet boat out from Moody, and we'd fish. Usually, God, I'm trying to remember some of the areas further up where we charged to, but up above Colorado. And
that big flat right above Colorado is called the Wagon Blast Water.
Yep. And see, he was a heck of a guide. I caught a lot of fish with him next to me, and now that I'm kind of out there hiking up, I don't have it in me to hike up that far. So I kind of hang out right there right up from the campground.
Yeah, that's where we were this morning, the Moody Flats up at the cable crossing.
The cable crossing.
Yep, exactly.
On the west side.
I've always fished the west side.
And I don't know what the deal was, but last year I could only seem to hook into pissed off king salmon, and they would take me for a ride. They would spool me. I got spooled twice last year, so I don't know.
Yeah, you'll have to fish a little.
Probably was a tule.
Yeah,
probably.
Because there aren't a lot of Chinook in the river right now.
So that's the other question. Why do you wait until mid-August to start this reel?
Work typically. Or you're not asking me.
Oh, for me?
Sorry.
Yeah, so the reason we wouldn't wait, honestly, we'd do it peak times if we could, but what we need to do is have this overlapping with the creel survey. So basically we reach out to ODFW and see when we can find a time that overlaps with their creel surveys. That way we're able to get our recaptures from the surveyor.
Yeah, I think typically, at least back in my working days, they started that July 1. But having said that, starting the 15th of August, they summarize their data on 2-week blocks. So that'll get you a 2-week block in August and 2 in September and 1 in October. So, and that having said all that, catch rates don't start to pick up until about ripen. So, except for this year. So, no, I mean, that all makes sense. You can't do everything everywhere for everybody. So you got to be strategic about, what you do and where you do it.
Yeah, for sure. And there were time constraints with the funding as well, because this is part of a National Fish and Wildlife Foundation project. So there were kind of strict timelines on project start dates and end dates. So that was, again, one of the reasons why we chose this time.
Yeah. No, there's always reasons why you do what you do.
Yeah. And I know we were talking about the campground there for a bit, so I think it's kind of a good segue. Kyle, I know you mentioned going to the campground for an extended period this season, maybe helping pass out some flyers and some Anglers Atlas stickers and things like that. So maybe we want to give some of the people listening maybe a bit of the information on that.
Oh yeah. So I booked a campsite at the Deschutes State Park and just planned to talk to anyone willing to listen. We were going to kind of volunteer to educate whoever we can about what you guys are doing with the eCreel competition, and they need help getting the app or finding a QR code to scan to get the app. And a sticker. Yeah, I've got a whole pile of stickers. I'm more equipped than I look. I had a shirt and stickers and a hat. I was planning to be ready for this interview, and then somehow I don't know what happened. But
I got to get my hands on one of those hats. Those are they're awesome.
What day are you going to be up there?
I need to double check the dates, but I've got the campsite booked for I believe it's September 2nd through the 16th.
Oh wow.
And I don't know that I'll be there the entire time, but I've talked with the park owners and just with friends. So, and anyone in my tribe or anyone really wants to go post up. It's open, I think, it's only one vehicle, but it's 6 people, and it's a decent sized campsite. So,
and there's a nice parking lot there. You can walk to the site or whatever. Yeah.
And I think I'm not doing anything too wild. Just a banner, and gonna be offering to help anybody who wants to learn more about the competition, and now I'll have some better advice to equip them to actually get out and catch fish. Hopefully by then I'll have already had an opportunity to play with those. What are we calling those exactly?
Side planer.
Side planer. Okay.
Yeah, lure Jensen side planer.
Okay.
And like I say, you can buy them anywhere. Buy them at Coastal, Fisherman's,
Okay.
Warehouse.
And the float and fly technique as well. Don't forget
Yeah,
about
the bubble and fly thing. I mean, anybody can cast quite a ways with a spinning rod. I mean, it's pretty simple.
Mm-hmm.
And with your bubble, with the water in it, it's heavy. You can make it hit.
Mm-hmm.
And all you got to be able to do is get it out there.
Yeah.
Quarter downstream and just let it go. But back in the late 70s when I first came to the Deschutes, we didn't have any of that stuff. What we had was Steelies, which is a teardrop shaped spoon that weighs a half an ounce. They make a quarter ounce and a half on.
Mm-hmm.
And standard drift gear, Okies, Corkies, that sort of thing. And since you can't use bait on the Deschutes, back then you could, but you can't now. Those are the only techniques that we knew.
Yeah.
And nobody cast plugs. It was like you couldn't wrap your mind around that. and those are the guys did use flies, and guys did use bubbling flies. Those were accepted techniques, but we didn't cast plugs, and side planers hadn't been invented yet. And so, I mean, and all of those things still work today.
That's what has got me coming back year after year, was throwing a plug from what the guy I used to fish with. He called it Last Chance. I don't know.
Dozens of those spots
Okay.
with that name, but
Well, he called it Last Chance and threw a plug and hooked into the biggest steelhead I've ever seen in my life. I couldn't keep it, but
That's okay.
so
yeah. But it took me for a ride and got a good look at it before we sent it on its way. But plugs were great, and it's the only river I've ever, I don't know, found more opportunities to throw plugs in. There are a lot of really good deep pools to get away with that in. So
yeah, no, it's
And it used to be just tadpoles, and now we throw wiggle warts and tadpoles, and let's get it a little guys that it's flat. Not the wiggle wart, the tadpoles. I painted the butterflies on it.
oh K11 quick fish.
okay, yep.
And those are dynamite on a side plane. K11 quick fish.
Okay.
And
Colors
I
are purple and blue.
yeah, your favorite color, but when we were doing a lot of 3-day drift boat trips, I would buy like 15 or 20 solid silver K11, and I had red, blue, green, purple magic marker. And at the start of a drift boat trip, when we're on the landing, you know, loading the boats, I'd give one of our friends with us a silver K11 flatfish and a bunch of magic markers. Say, here, make it any color you want. You know, draw designs on it, draw stripes on it.
I did the butterflies.
Yeah, yep, there you
There
go.
you go.
Yep. And they all catch fish.
Right
And
on.
we take the treble hooks off and replace them with Gamakatsu Siwash
Mhm.
on a number 7 sample swivel. And a lot easier on the fish. You don't get hung up as often. You're going to be releasing wild fish on the Deschutes. So anything you can do to make it easier for that wild fish, you have a moral obligation to do that. So just get some open eye Gamakatsu Siwash. I like size 1. There, it's a good combination between big enough to be meaningful and small enough to be easy on fish. So some size 1 Gamakatsus and some number 7 sample swivels. Put the swivel on the split ring. Put the hook on the other eye of the swivel, and you're good to go.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we're way over time here, guys, but we learned a ton. I think especially, I mean, I learned a ton. I'm not a steelhead angler myself. I'm a warm water guy, even though I'm in Canada, but I'm still a warm water guy. Pike, muskie, and bass is my forte. But maybe I'll get on a steelhead out in Colorado here next week, hopefully.
There you go.
Probably not in Colorado, but you can catch his close cousin, a rainbow.
Yeah. Well, again, that shows how much I know about steelhead. But yeah, thank you guys for joining, and thanks everybody who listened in this long. Hopefully you got some great tips, and we can see you guys out on the Deschutes starting August 16th, running through to October 19th. Free to sign up. And yeah, we'll be checking in again halfway through the event. So stay tuned for that halftime show. And yeah, just one big round of thank yous for all you guys for making this call tonight, and look forward to catching up with you guys as the event goes on.
Awesome.
It was nice, pleasure to meet you and Kyle. And look forward to maybe seeing you on the river.
Likewise, Steve's. I look forward to seeing both of you out there.
And Jack, it's always good to see you. So
Yeah.
we'll look forward to the halftime call and see if we can catch a steelhead.
Heck yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Well, tight lines, everybody.